Bret Hart is gone. He's been fired by Mr. McMahon. He didn't even get a send-off on last Raw. In fact, he just got beaten down by Nexus the week before. And unfortunately, this week, all we had was McMahon in the ring, cutting quite a good promo with Sheamus in there in the mix as well. But just a throwaway comment, Bret Hart is gone and officially fired.
Yeah, the Hitman is out of there. I did like Vincent Sheamus's buzz in the ring. I thought that was really cool. Good interaction, and Sheamus had me for a little bit, but then that swerve was good stuff. And him and Vince, I like that stuff. That's cool. Definitely a mark-out moment for old Sheamus, I'd say. So respect to him for that shit. But Hitman, probably work.
I was suspecting it, and I hope not. I mean, he's had his time, he's had his run now, and I think he was starting to feel not special anymore. I think I loved it at the start when he returned, and I was enjoying it week on week, but I do think it's a good idea to maybe exit that angle fairly quickly, and we've seen what we've seen.
I mean, he's kind of over, I suppose, isn't he? But at the same time, it's not really groundbreaking TV, is it? Having him around. But I think if they just maybe bring him back and just let him get on with his shit.
It would be nice to have him there. I will be honest. I mean, I did enjoy it at the beginning, and week on week, I kind of like to see him there. It certainly had me tuned to the TV. I mean, I didn't get up when I knew Bret Hart was starting a Raw. I didn't just decide to record it and let it off and watch it later. But like I say, I mean, I felt like, what more can they do? They brought him back on the same night that Hogan returned to TNA, and indeed we had that Monday Night War scenario. So already I felt like some of his special shine was taken away a little bit by Hogan. I mean, this was the night that perhaps I'd thought about for a long time, the return of Bret Hart. But as I say, that was a little bit in the bad books, really, because you had those two nights going on, and unfortunately I think a lot of fans were going back and forth, and maybe they missed that big return.
Yeah, I think he probably got a bad old bashing around in that car. So there's been all sorts of stuff flying around, really, because one minute they're saying it's something about his insurance policy, then they're talking about what's her face's your one, what's her fucking name, Martha, is it?
You're talking about, Martha Hart, I believe, the Owen Hart story this week.
Yeah, all that malark. So, who knows? Maybe Vince said, fuck this, get rid of him, don't need this bullshit, don't need this hassle. Linda's got her shit coming up. And maybe it was just too much for old Vince to take. But at the same time, who knows? It might just be a case of work-tastic, just take him off for a bit, generate a bit of heat, and then bring him back in, I suppose.
That's quite true. I mean, they've certainly found that they can work with Bret. It seems like Bret is getting on well there. They would not have put him in the GM position or did things like give him belts without trusting him. I mean, he could have just taken that US belt and maybe taken it to TNA and thrown it in the trash can. He didn't do that. I mean, it's not old school days, but yeah, he's obviously getting enough money. It seems to be working for him. But like you say, I think, somewhere along the line, you're going to see Bret Hart coming back again, and perhaps it was just a decision that both parties came to.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not going to miss him too much if he's gone, but at the same time, having him around is definitely probably not much better.
Yeah, he's added a lot, but at the same time his value now has slightly come down, because what has he done now? He's feuded with McMahon. We waited a long time to see that after that infamous screw job. We got that payoff, and then we got the payoff of the Bret with the Hart Dynasty. I mean, ever since we've heard these Hart Dynasty being rumoured as a possible team that was going to be coming together, along with some other Hart family members that have not yet successfully made it to the main roster. But it's been something we've heard of for a long time. So I think in that sense, we also got that payoff. What else was left, really?
Not a whole lot. I mean, the title run for 1 week was fucking shite, and most of the stuff he's come up with has been horseshit. So I don't know. I don't really have an answer. Maybe just keep him off.
I think the bookers thought the exact same thing. What can we do now? Where can we bring Bret? I mean, in terms of storylines, he's got to be up there with storylines that they think are quite good. So when you see things like Nexus putting him into the back of a limo and allowing him about 12 foot of headroom to not get damaged in the car, you've got to wonder what the logic of that is and what they're thinking. I mean, they certainly seem to probably think these are the best ideas out there. We often wonder what in God's name they're doing in those offices.
Yeah, you would. I was going to say something, but I won't, because it would probably cross over into making this conversation a bit. I won't even say what I was going to say there about something. But yeah, you're right. He does 12 foot. It's a lot of space, and especially if you can, get into like a body armor suit or some shit like that. Or put on a fucking helmet and a pair of knee pads and a pair of shin pads, or knee pads and shin pads and elbow pads. He's gonna be safe. So I don't know. Just good luck.
This is it. Looking back at some of Bret's moments in his short run back with WWE, of course, head and shoulders above the rest, it's got to be McMahon versus Bret. I mean, let's say it wasn't the best of matches, but just the spectacle of it alone. I mean, I didn't expect those guys to deliver anything incredible, but I was kind of happy to see the involvement of the other Hart family members at a WrestleMania, and how ironic it was when Bret was gone. You had that Owen Hart lawsuit come up, and I suppose that's one we can't speculate on a whole lot. I mean, you certainly can't rule out the possibility of letters from either side there.
Yeah, messy business. Messy stuff. Yeah, I mean, it took its time coming around, or Martha obviously took her time coming around, but I suppose, it was pretty tragic and whatever, but yeah, it's probably another reason why they just couldn't be bothered their arse, really. They might have just said, how can we get so much heat from over this side and then get Bret in getting the pops from the other side, and what about him, and how, if it comes out into the media, he's playing his tricks on Raw, and it just would get messy for Bret, I think.
Do you think there was any kind of communication between Owen's family and Bret Hart? They obviously knew he was in the company now, maybe slightly resentful of what appeared to be a bit of a kind of an amicable thing between McMahon and Bret. They might have been a little bit angered by that, seeing as they had all this sort of waiting in the balance. But that Owen Hart story, I mean, it's been over a decade now, and I'm actually amazed to think that they haven't had any resolution, and that this still is an issue.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it was an accident, wasn't it? You can't really say, it's not like some crazy conspiracy fucking Jesse Ventura shit or something, but yeah, I mean, she could just be, fuck Bret, basically. Especially after her, I know I'm kind of standing by him with the Montreal thing or whatever. Yeah, I just think, she's probably saying, well, fuck you, basically. And I'm going to do this lawsuit now or whatever. And maybe fuck him up at the same time.
That's true. We don't know what the relations are between these guys at this stage. I mean, WrestleMania appearances would speak for a lot of the members of the families, and I suppose that tells a lot. If they're willing to appear on a WrestleMania, then Is it the money, or is it the fact that they are all reconciled with a lot of the issues of the past? I certainly think the Hart family, they've had a tough time, but then wrestling, it was, of course, their bread and butter. I think the thing that they would all always stay with, no matter what happened, and I think Bret proved that, he is still somebody who wants to be in the limelight and he wants to do things. Personally, I feel it's a great shame that he isn't the general manager anymore, because, I mean, who else this week? No general manager, just an email and Michael Cole. So it's probably a loss in that sense, but as I say, I think Bret taking on McMahon was good, and Bret with the Hart Dynasty is something I think we all waited for.